of the most, hi Ellie, by the way, Wendy's here, Shirley, Jamie's gonna come back later. But what I want you to do during this, so what I want you to do during this live lesson or during this free lesson is I want you to think about your childhood. So when you were a child, think about like a cool story you have or a few different stories you have or something like that. I just want you to kind of think back into the past, and then as we go through the grammar points, the different grammar points, yeah, just try to think about that. Try to think about those stories. So, all right. So here we go. So we're talking about the past, like I said, childhood. When we were kids, like grandma's there. Okay, I just kind of don't want to hear myself twice. All right. So hey YouTube everybody. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to look at this story. I'm just going to read this story for you guys. First, you're going to see red is going to be past simple, purple is going to be past perfect, orange will be past continuous. Okay, so we use past simple, past perfect, and past continuous when we're telling a story. Okay, so that's when we're telling a story. When we're talking about the past, these are kind of the three tenses that we use. Okay, so red, purple, and orange. So, all right, so let's just take a look at this story first. All right, just gonna read it off my computer here. All right, so this happened when I was about 5 years old. My father had gone away on business for a few days, and my brother and I were sleeping in my parents' bedroom. Before we went to bed that night, I had been reading a very scary story about a wicked witch. In the middle of the night, I woke up and with a start and saw that a figure in a dark coat was standing at the end of my bed. I screamed at the top of my lungs. So I screamed really, really loudly. So again, of course I can just tell this story very simply. I can say one time I screamed really loud because I thought I saw a ghost, right? But if I want to expand, if I want to grow this story, we're going to use these things called narrative tenses, okay? Narrative tenses. So like I said, past simple, past perfect, and past continuous, okay? Past simple, past perfect, and past continuous. So I'm going to try, I know Mark did like 8 minutes of a lesson last class, and then he went straight to speaking. So I'm going to try to fly through this. And I think everybody here, their English is pretty good. So I don't need to go into like past simple, go, went, play, played. I don't need to go into anything like that. But I'm just going to, when we're telling a story, so like past simple for telling stories, okay? Past simple for telling stories. So today, again, I want you guys to think about a story that you're going to talk about. So Nicholas, when you were a kid, I know now you're an adult because you look old. All right, so past simple, okay? The main reason why we're going to use past simple when we're telling stories is when we talk about the main events, okay? The main events or the main actions. Okay, the main events or the main actions in a story. So if we go back and look at this, right, this action happened, I was 5 years old, I saw, I screamed, I woke up. These are all kind of the main actions in the story, right? So if we're going to talk about, I can say I broke my leg 8 years ago, right? Right? So this is kind of the main action, right? If I'm going to tell you about this story, I broke my legs 8 years ago. That is the most important part of the story, right? Because that's it. I don't break my leg every day. So if I'm telling you a story about me breaking my leg, it's going to be this. I broke my leg 8 years ago, right? So other things, if I'm building this story, I'm going to think about kind of the other main events in this story. So I broke my leg. I didn't go to the hospital. Okay. Nicholas, earmuffs. Okay, I didn't go to the hospital, so I broke my leg. I didn't go to the hospital. This is a true story, right? I went to a bar. Yeah, this is true. You guys can ask me about this later. I drank a lot, right? So here I'm talking, Ella's laughing, but this is super true. Nicholas, don't drink, bad for you. But I broke my leg. I thought I was okay. I thought I just like twisted my knee or something. I thought I was fine. So my friends carried me. Okay, my friends like actually carried me to the bar, right? So when I'm talking about this story, because I couldn't walk, right? When I'm talking about this story, I'm gonna look for kind of the main events, the main actions in that story. So as I'm talking, just like this story here, right? Happened, was, woke up, screamed, saw. These are all the different kind of mini main events or the main actions in that story. So that's how we're going to use past simple when we're telling a story. Okay. So past continuous. All right. So what do we use past continuous for? So again, I'm not going to go into the form, past continuous, maybe I will. Okay. Was, were plus verb ing, right? So was, were plus verb ing. So we're going to use this for like the background information, right? Right? Kind of like to describe the scenery, right? Kind of to describe the scenery, right? What was going on around me. So I can say like, I broke my leg, I went to a bar, but I was running, right? This isn't actually that important. I broke my leg is the main part, but I was running. That's kind of like the extra information or the background information, right? Why was I running? Oh, I was playing baseball. So again, I'm just kind of talking about what's going on around the story. So if we're telling another story, I can say, the sun was shining, right? My team was cheering, right? So again, here we're kind of looking at extra information. We're talking about information around the story. So again, if I'm telling a story about when I broke my leg, the broken leg is the important part. And then kind of as we go on throughout the story, there are going to be small other main parts. But here we're just going to talk about, this is not really important, right? This grammar is actually not really important because it's just kind of giving us the background information. What was happening when that main action happened, right? So it's kind of like, I always look at it like this, right? So this is past continuous and this is past simple. And kind of the X is always the main event or the main action, right? So, and one thing my students and even the textbooks and even other teachers, they don't talk about is that, I can have many actions that were happening at the same time. Just like now, I can say I'm teaching, I'm sitting, the aircon is spinning, right? You guys are watching, we are studying, I'm drinking coffee, right? There are so many things happening around now or now at the moment that are not really that important, right? I'm sitting in room 18. So I know that Shirley's sitting in room 2, right? Just for example, right? We're just kind of describing the background of the information. So this isn't really that important. This really isn't that important, but it's just going to give us some, just kind of, especially if we're writing, it's going to give us some like nice language around the story. So Nicholas, if you have to write an essay or you have to write a story in your class, right? we kind of use the past continuous to kind of create the picture in our mind, right? Oh, the birds were singing. There was a crazy man over there laughing, right? We can talk, or it's usually me, but we can talk about those things like that. Okay, so again, just past simple, we're going to use for kind of the main event, right? The main action in the story, right? For past continuous, we're going to use the background information kind of to paint the picture. All right, and then past perfect. Actually, I don't, as an American English speaker, I don't use past perfect that often, right? I don't use past perfect that often. This is had plus PP, right? And then I always kind of draw this, Mike has seen this before, right? So A, B, and now, right? So I always kind of say A had happened before B happened, right? So if we were talking about this before, B is the X, past continuous is here, right? But then we can also have another X. So like something that had happened before B happened, right? So had happened before the main event, okay? So what happened was so if we talk about the broken leg, so the broken leg is here, right? Broke my leg, right? The broken leg is here at B. This is the main action. This is past simple, right? And this is past perfect here, okay? But I can say I had arrived late, right? I had arrived at the game late, right? I remember this, and I hate being late for things. I've broken my leg twice in my life, and both times I was late for the event. One time was hockey, and the second time was baseball, and both times I was late. So I hate being late. Don't be late. Never be late. But I had arrived late. I remember this day like it was yesterday. I went to my friend's office at MBFC, Marina Bay Financial Center. And I met him and I was like, come on, dude, we gotta go. And then we were driving to Woodlands, which is like on the other side of the country. Anyway, I had arrived late, but just before I had hit the ball, okay? So I had hit the ball, right? So I had hit the ball, then I was running, and then I jumped and I broke my leg, right? I jumped and I broke my leg. But here we're going to use only when there's two actions that have some relationship, right? So we have A, we have B. These two actions must have some relationship. These two actions must have some relationship. So let me write out the whole story, right? So I had hit the ball, and as I was running to first base, okay, you guys, if you understand baseball, this will be easy for you. If you don't understand baseball, then good luck. I was running to first base when I jumped and landed on the ground. I could say as I landed, I broke my leg. Okay, so I had hit the ball, so that's kind of past perfect. I'm talking about what had happened before I broke my leg. And then I'm kind of talking about some things that when I was running to first base, when I jumped, okay, so this is like another X. So it's like X, 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 right? Which is not good. I jumped, I landed, and then I broke my leg. So actually it's more like X and X because these two X's happened at the same time. If that makes sense. I know this is like one of the most difficult things to understand as an English student, but I jumped and then I landed and broke my leg at the same time. Right? So I landed and broke my leg at the same time. So when 2 actions, 3 actions, 4 actions, 5 actions, many things can happen at the same time. I think that's one thing, Mark and I, and, this channel especially, we often talk about like comprehensible input. So putting like real English into your brain. I think sometimes I hate the textbook because the textbook only shows us like one action and then one action. We rarely talk about many actions happening at the same time. But with past simple, with past continuous, with past perfect, many actions can happen at the same time. So that's why narrative tenses, when we get to narrative tenses in intermediate or even upper intermediate, my students are really confused because it's like so many things. If we go back to this story, right? It's not just one verb, right? There's so many verbs and there's so many things that were happening or that had been happening, right? So it's just not that important, but just want to kind of give you guys an idea of past simple, kind of the main event, past continuous, we're talking about the background, and then past perfect is kind of like what had happened before the main event, which main action had happened before the main action. But again, those have to be these two, A and B, they have to have some relationship. They have to have some relationship with each other. Okay, so I actually have a bunch of other stuff, past perfect continuous, past simple would, used to, but I'm gonna make some other videos. I'm gonna make some other videos for that. Hey, Ascardi, what's up? So what I'll do is I just want to get you guys talking. I want to get you guys using, trying to use this English. So for anyone on YouTube, I know there's 7 people watching. Yeah, I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna share you guys on YouTube. I trust you're not crazy people, so I'm gonna share the Zoom link for you. So good luck, guys. If some crazy people come in here, who knows? But I'm just kidding. You guys are not crazy. You're on our channel. But I'm going to share the Zoom link on YouTube. So let's see what happens. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump off YouTube. So thank you guys for watching. Obviously, there's 9 people watching. Check the chat, check the comments. I'll leave this open for a second. But yeah, so we're going to jump into breakout rooms on our side. So if anyone wants to join the Zoom, just hop on there. There's 9 people watching, which is great. So stop that. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, about the past perfect simple. You mean 2 actions, but sometimes we often use past perfect simple use not actual action events like virtual events. We often use the past perfect simple tense.
Yep,
that's correct.
So past perfect. Okay, so okay, Mike, good question. I'll quickly jump back into the Zoom here. I'm just going to turn off the YouTube.
Yeah, like
one person jumped in here. Sorry, YouTube. I don't know how to figure that out.
I had been late